Hello, welcome to the first video back of the year. Have I forgotten how to film content? Maybe, but I hope not. Today we're going to be wrapping up the 8 books that I read in December. It is 2024. I haven't yet got the date wrong, but we are already a few days into the year. But it's 2024. Hi! Did you have a good New Year's? Did you have a good Christmas? Let me know in the comments. I had such a nice break. It was just so needed. I completely reset my creative brain and I am ready to go. So, let's talk about these 8 books. First up is probably the biggest disappointment, if not of the month, then maybe of the year. It is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. This is a chunky fantasy that is the sequel to Fourth Wing, which was highly popular. I really enjoyed it. It was very high stakes. It was action. There were dragons. There was big epic battle moments. There was a political fantasy. There was a romance running through it. It had everything. Well, probably not everything, but it had a good amount of stuff. This did not. I feel like it had all these things to run with. It had them there in its grasp and it chose to not run with them. And I can't really pinpoint what it was exactly that I felt didn't click with this, but for me, it wasn't the one. The romance possibly is too stretched out. It was kind of meant to be like an enemies to lovers thing, but the first book goes through that a lot quicker, so we don't really have the series to have that tension building. Maybe it was something to do with that, but then, as I usually do say, I'm not reading these books for the romance, I'm reading them more for the action. And maybe that was what didn't click for me. In the first book, there was really this found family and this real unity between the people that are all at this academy to learn how to become dragon riders. And in this book, we still have that unity, but it isn't really the same. It feels like it isn't about the group and it's more just about our 2 main characters. I can't even remember the name of the main character. Is it Violet? See, this just fallen out of my brain. Violet and Xaden. I did read it, I promise. Look, something fell flat. I've seen a lot of people disliking this. I feel like it info dumped. I can't properly articulate my thoughts on this even a month after finishing reading it, but it wasn't for me. I think maybe it stretched itself too thin across multiple different types of genres, and it didn't really do either or any of them like enough. It felt like it was trying to delve into being a political fantasy, to being a romance fantasy or romantasy, and then to being like just fantasy with the dragons and the magic, and it felt like it just stretched itself across them all without doing any of them particularly well, in my opinion. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, so I didn't entirely hate it, but it fell flat. What did not fall flat is The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. Evie Woods? Yes, Evie Woods. This is a brilliant, magical, enchanted book that is following a bookshop that disappears across a little bit of time. We're following 3 different characters' stories and their different interactions with this bookshop. 1 of those timelines is in the past and 2 of them are in the present day. It's just so magical. This was our Patreon book club pick for the last 2 months of the year and it was such a good book to go out on. We all loved it, I think. I think everybody loved it unanimously. It was a popular choice and it was so magical and enchanting. The writing was really beautiful. It was very digestible but still very pretty in its writing style, and it really encompassed that love of literature, which is what I love in books about books. It just made me feel so excited to be reading it. I wanted to be reading it when I wasn't reading it, which is just top tier sign of a fantastic book. So much about this just made me so happy and I just didn't want it to end. I had the best time with it, and this is the first 5-star read of December. Then I read The Christmas Appeal by Janice Hallett. This is a little mini novella that is after the events of The Appeal. I read The Appeal a few years ago and really enjoyed it. The format is a murder mystery told through emails and text conversations. It's a really interesting way to consume a murder mystery because you, the reader, are reading it and experiencing it at the same pace that the fictional detectives in the book are also finding all this information out, and it was just fun. This one had that same level of fun, which I was relieved by because I started to read another one, The Twyford Code. I didn't get on with that one very much and I actually DNF'd it because I just didn't really feel invested. I didn't really like the character that we were following, but this one just kind of reined it back in for me, I feel like, and reminded me that I definitely do like this style of Janice Hallett's writing. This was Christmassy themed, it was very short, it was very silly and very fun. If you like books that are observational and people watching, I think you will like this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian by Rick Riordan. This was just fantastic. I loved this series so much. I was reading this for a reading vlog where I read the whole of the first 5 books of the Percy Jackson series. I will leave that linked above. I am yet to watch the Disney Plus show because I kind of wanted to wait till it was all out. I was trying to read these books in advance of the show so I could then watch the show on release day, but Christmas just kind of, it took everything away from me and I just kind of sat and chilled. And yes, sitting and watching a TV show would have definitely been included within the bubble of chilling. I just didn't get to it, but I will be getting to it very soon, and I think, yeah, I will wait till it's all out, but I'm so excited because I just loved this book series so much. The last book was so epic. There were so many big heroic moments, and I think that is what I love about this series, as well as the fact that it's just funny, it's humorous, it's got a great found family element. I love the friendships in it. I adore it. It's just fantastic. This is the second 5-star read of the month. There's quite a few for December. It's a good month to go out of the year on. Then I read Midnight at the Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan. This is a book I didn't know existed until one of my patrons told me about it, and I got very excited because I read The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan in 2022 over Christmas, and I loved it. So I was very excited for this one, and unfortunately I was a little bit disappointed. This is following on from the events in the first book, so it's a romance, it's set at Christmas, it's in Edinburgh, and it's set in a bookshop. I think that's pretty much the most I can tell you about the plot of this one because I don't want to give spoilers for the first one, but this one was not the one. It was not the best. The love interest is, the romance is carried on from the first book, and I can't remember my thoughts when reading the first book, but in this book I just didn't really care for it. I wasn't invested in their love story. I didn't really believe it, and I didn't really feel invested for its future, so it kind of took away the romance side of this, and I really just wanted the bookshop part of it, which did pick up. I think I switched to the audiobook for this one, which actually, I believe, saved my reading experience for this a little bit, because I just wasn't really enjoying the physical reading experience. It was okay. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, so again, like, not horrendous, and I think the fact that it was set at Christmas time, it's set in Edinburgh, and it's got the bookshop setting, kind of pulled it back up for me, because the bookshop is very enchanting, and I love books with bookshops in them, if you hadn't guessed. Then I did a reread of Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. I have got a reading vlog of reading this and Volume 5 that I will pop a link to up here. I had such a good time. This book series is so beautiful. If you are unfamiliar with this series, it is a graphic novel series following the romance between Nick and Charlie and their time at school, their love together, and their experiences as they go through the last few years of their school years together. And it's a beautiful, magical story, and I just love it so much. It's so wholesome at the same time as having so many hard-hitting, important messages, and it completely has open and honest conversations about things that totally need to have open and honest conversations around them, and I love that for this book, this series, and these characters is just so good. Obviously we have the TV series now, we have season 1 and season 2 out, and I love it so much. It is no surprise that for my reread of Volume 4 I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I can't tell you what this one's about properly because I don't want to give spoilers for the whole series, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. There is OCD rep in this series. I have OCD and I don't normally read books with OCD rep in it because I find that it can feel triggering to me to read about somebody else's OCD tics, but for some reason, and I can't really pinpoint why, I don't have that issue with this series, and this book in particular really focuses around that a lot for a lot of the storyline. It just didn't really do that for me. I'm not really sure why it didn't, but I mean, that was great because it means I was able to enjoy it without feeling like the kind of OCD stress stuff happening as well. But I love it. It's such a brilliant series. Shockingly, I then read Volume 5 of Heartstopper, and this is the new release that came out at the end of last year, and I think we got one left? I think we've got one left in this series, and I'm not ready to say goodbye to Nick and Charlie. It's just beautiful, and this one dealt with all new conversations, and I think that they were just done brilliantly. Again, I'm not going to tell you what they were because I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's immaculate, it's brilliant. If you haven't read it yet, please do pick it up. If you would like to watch my reading vlog, it is linked up here. There are obviously spoilers in the reading vlog, but it was a really fun time. I really enjoyed filming that video, and I had such a good time reading this. Another 5 star. I think that's all of the 5 stars for the month, but lots of 5 stars this month, last month, December. Lots of 5 stars in December. The other book I read, I accidentally left at my family home whilst I was reading it over Christmas, and that is Clara and the Sun by Kazuyo Ishiguro. This was just such an interesting reading experience and a really unique one. This is following Clara, who is an artificial friend, and her job is to be a friend to a child. So the first part of the book, we're seeing her in her shop as she is kind of observing people and waiting to be bought. And then for the second part of the book, we're seeing her experiencing what it is like to be an artificial friend to a child, and the strange world that this is taking place in. It's a sci-fi-esque environment. It's slightly dystopic, I would say, in a way. and it's very interesting. I was intrigued throughout the whole book as to the direction that it would be taking, and it was definitely one that has left me thinking about a lot of things, and the morals alongside it, and the implications of humanity alongside what this book deals with. And I just think it's fascinating, and I can't really tell you more than that, and I sound very cryptic, but it's the main intrigue of the book that's pulling you in is the thing that I'm referring to. So I don't want to tell you what it is because, again, spoilers, but I really enjoyed this one. I think that this was very slow paced and calm, and for that reason was almost perfect for me to read over the Christmas break because it was just soothing in a way, and I just felt like I was experiencing the people watching alongside Clara being able to do that people watching, and I love it when you get a book like that where you can just kind of observe. I think if I'd have read this at a different time of the year, maybe I wouldn't have liked it because the pacing is slower, but it hit right for me. It was perfect for December. Those are all of the books that I read in December. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. Please let me know which books you read in December and which were your favourites. If you would like to join along in our Patreon book club pick, because we have a new book which is The Memory Police. I can't remember the name of the author, hang on. Yoko Ogawa's The Memory Police is our book club pick for January and February, so if you would like to join along with that, I will leave that link down below. That is available to anyone in the Rivendell tier upwards. Thank you so much for watching this video. Happy New Year, happy 2024. I hope you have a fantastic year. I have so much exciting content to come this year, and I can't wait to share it all. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.